Hello, we are here to talk about the widgets enhancements as part of 16.0.0. Now with 16.0.0, widgets are available in a lot more places within Clarity. Customers have the ability to define their own widgets, and each user can create their own widgets, and widgets can be shared between users. In the last release, we introduced widgets for the first time in Clarity. Customers loved the widget so much that they provided several feedbacks, and one of the big ones was the ability to define their own widgets rather than just the out-of-the-box widgets that we shipped. So as part of this release, we are providing that ability for the customers to create their own widgets. That is one of the key things that's coming, and customers also wanted to see the same widgets across different parts of the application. So in this release, we are now making widgets available in more places than just the certain hierarchy modules. Starting this release, widgets are going to be available in the following places. They're going to be available in all the modules of hierarchies. This includes the investment module, which is the tree, grid, timeline. It also includes the risk, issues, changes, and the status module. The widgets will also be available in the to-do grid and in the custom objects board and grid view. Widgets can be created by any user in the system. No specific right is required to create widgets. Widgets can be defined in the new widget or use the existing widgets that are shipped out of the box. User-defined widgets are then listed under My Widgets within the widget section, whereas any administrator-defined widgets and shared with all the users is listed under the Widgets library. When trying to add a widget, the end user has the option to search for widgets, which will then search between My Widgets and the widget library. The predefined widgets that were shipped in the previous release of Clarity will now be listed under the widgets library. Widgets can be shared. In order for the user to share widgets, there are really two options. One, the user should get the new access right, which is the widgets manage widget library. This access right allows the person to create a widget and add that widget in the widget library. Any widget that is added in the widget library then is visible to all the users, and those users can essentially include that widget in their view. The second way to share a widget is to define a widget and then include that widget in a saved view and make that saved view as shared so that other users can then use that view. And any user that uses a view with a widget in it will automatically also see the same widget. To create a widget, the flow is as follows. Within the object grid view or wherever the widgets are available, the user has to start with the Add Widget button. The same button is used to add a widget, to manage a widget, or include a widget in their view. Once this button is clicked, the new Add Widgets modal is displayed. Here, there are three specific actions that the user can do. The user can either include or remove a widget that they have previously defined in their own widget library, or they can include or manage widgets that were in the widget library. And when I'm talking about remove, they can only remove it from their view. And then the third action that they can do is to create a new widget. Clicking on this new widget will open up the list of the different types of widgets that they can include. And right now there are only 4 types of widgets. Selecting any one of the 4 types of widgets will then take them to the screen where they can define how the data for that widget should be calculated. There are 4 kinds of widgets available. These are number tiles, pie, bar, and progress ring. The format controls if the data should be shown as a number or percentage. So when I am creating a new widget, there is a section for format which has two checkboxes, either number or percentage, and that controls how the data should be displayed. The number is default for number tile and bar, while percentage is default for pie and progress ring. However, the end user can easily toggle between these two while in use. The conditions, which is defined, can be used to control the data that should be shown for either calculating the widget's data. And based on the access right, the user can also check the box to add their defined widgets to the widget library. And that's this checkbox right here at the bottom. By default, this is turned off for every widget that is being created. But if the user has the access right to manage widget library, then they have the option to toggle this box on. The group by defines the attribute that should be used for grouping the data. Only attributes that can be aggregated in the group by within the grid view are the ones that are available in the group by. So right here, when you're defining a widget, there is a group by section, and this will list only those attributes that can be used in the group by for a grid view. Number, percentage, and money data types are not available in this list. In the group by, the attribute will be listed as follows. The common investment attributes will be listed by their respective names. However, an attribute that is specific to the object will be listed along with their object name. Like in this example, there is an objective within project and an objective within idea. So they have their respective object name also listed right next to it. However, objective risk is defined at the investment level, so it does not have any object name because it is shared across all object types. The widget type will determine if the data is based on one of the following. You can either count the total number of records that will be result of the group by. You can do a sum, in which case you can define the group by for an attribute and then sum based on another attribute such as the financial cost. Or you can do an average where the average is calculated based on the non-null values for the group by. The sum and average will require a group by and an additional attribute that is used for calculation. As in this example, I have group by goal. That means for all the investments, I'm going to group them by their goal, and then I'm going to do a sum of their planned cost. The sort order allows the user to view the data ascending or descending based on the value. The following attributes are not supported in widgets: TSV, attachments, URL, or large strings, simple or rich text. The color option for tile and progress ring widgets is similar to the other places in Clarity, which is pretty extensive, as you can see the list right here. Some usage tips for the widgets. For a pie widget, when you hover over a slice of the pie, then the more details for that pie will be displayed in a pop-up. Clicking on the legend will toggle displaying that data on or off. So if you do not want to see certain data types, you can just toggle it on and off by clicking on it in the legend. For bar widgets, hovering over the bar will display in a pop-up just the individual bar data. And in general, the widget colors are based on the attribute lookup display mapping. If none is defined, then the standard colors are used. Clicking on any widget will toggle between the percentage and the number, and the filter widget toggle can be used to limit the data for all the widgets based on the filter applied to the view. Right, with that, let's see the product in action. So I'm here in Clarity 16.0.0, and for my widgets functionality, I am actually going to go into hierarchies and start there from an existing hierarchy that I have created. By default, you can see that I have pre-created several widgets in my hierarchy. For all of these widgets, if I want to manage them, I can do so by clicking on the Add Widget button. Here, I'm seeing the three different options that are available to me. First is the list of all of my widgets. These are widgets that I have created in the past, but they've not been included in the widget library. Second is the list of all the widgets that are added in the widgets library and available to all the users. And third, if I don't want to use either one of these, if I wanted a completely new type of widget, I can then do so by clicking on the new widget. Again, this new widget button is available to all users. So let's go ahead and create some. Clicking on the new widget takes me to the new widget modal that allows me to pick one of the 4 widget types. So in this case, I'm going to first pick a tile, and let's create a widget where I can get the total cost for all my investments in my hierarchy. And that's a simple widget. I can do that by as a tile. I can select the number tile. I go to next. I'm going to give it a name. I can pick the color. And in this case, let's just pick red as my cost. I can say that I want to do basically the total cost. So I'm just going to do a sum for all my planned cost. I could filter this data to only do it for projects, but in this case, I'll leave it and I'll see it for projects and idea. So I'm going to pick the type, and I'm going to select as idea and projects. So only give me the total cost for ideas and project investment. Anything outside of that should not be included in this plan cost. All the values are specified. So now the create button is available to me. Prior to me clicking on the create button, I want to point out that here is the new widget library checkbox that allows me that if I want this widget that I just created, and the fact that I have the access to add widgets in the library, I have this checkbox editable. So I can just check on it and make it available to everybody, or just keep it to myself to use it. Once I've done, I can click on create, and the new one is created. But you can see it is not added to my view. It is only created in my widgets library. The clear visual indicator for that is 1, the blue ring for the ones that are already pre-added, and the button for this newly created one has the add button, whereas the other ones has remove. So these are clear visual indicators for which widgets have already been included in your view and which one have not been included. But before I add this, let's create one more. And in this case, I'm going to create a pie. And I want to create the pie for calculating the amount spent based on business unit priority. So again, let's do a sum. Now I have the group by, so I want to do a group by business unit priority. And I want to do a sum for the plan cost. The sort order is going to be descending. That means it's the highest value on top. And I will only want to see in this case for project. So let's pick the type as project. So that is added right here. Let's go ahead and include both of these in my view. To do that, I just have to click on the add button and then I can close this. The new ones are added at the end of my widget list. And there it is. My plan cost for all the ideas and project is about 15.11 million. And that gets broken down based on the BU priority as here. As you can see, I can hover over it and it gives me a specific value for those. I can say toggle the legend to only show me high and very high. So it breaks down that much. Toggling any other fields allows me to go between number and percentage. All right. Next, let's go in and let's log in as another user where I want to see that user should not be able to see any widgets that I have created, but can only see the widgets that are in the widget library. So I'm going to log out and log in as Barb. I'm going to go into the same hierarchy. And here, when Barb goes in and clicks on the add widget, she's only seeing the widget library. So the widgets in the widget library. She cannot see any of the widgets, not even see my newly created widget in here because I have not added it to the widget library. Of course, Barb can create her own if she wants to, which let's go ahead and do that. Let's create a progress ring widget in this case. And the widget is going to be to get a count of all the projects where Barb is the strategic sponsor. Go ahead and create that. I can now add it to my library and it's added at the end. And 36% of all of these investments are sponsored by Barb. So I can easily visualize that data. All right. To remove a specific widget, it's the same behavior where you have to first go into the add widgets and then you can click on the remove button, which will remove this widget from the view. Right. So I just clicked on the remove and you can, if you noticed quickly that the widget has been removed from my view. If I want to delete this widget, meaning I no longer want it, to do that, I have to edit it and then click on the delete button inside of the widget. And now that widget is completely gone from this list. Next, let's log in back as an admin that has access to see custom objects. I'm going to navigate to my funding source, which is a custom object. And in here, I also have the ability to see my data in widgets. I can click on or toggle between show and hide widgets. When I do that, I can see the widgets that have been predefined in my view. And of course, I have the option to add more if I want to. The same is available in the to-do list, where I can see the widgets. These have been predefined. I can go ahead and either create a new one where I can create a new one where I am the owner. And to do that, it's pretty simple, where I can do a count of any one of those where the owner is myself. I can add that, and it'll appear right there at the end. I have that predefined, so if I am an admin, I can easily do that to include that in my to-do, where I can then see based on the owners and how many are due to me. So I do not have any to-dos. I can pretty much wrap up and go home. Thank you, guys. And with that, that concludes the demo for widgets enhancements. And that concludes this section. Thank you, everyone.